Hello, everyone. This is Subbu. I'm a senior consultant from Amazon Web Services. And joining me today is Patrice and Bill from Splunk. And we also have Jerem and Jake from Experian. In this session, we will discuss how Experian utilized Splunk to achieve end-to-end security visibility in their AWS environment. Before we begin, let's see how you can achieve security, identity, and compliance with help of AWS Cloud. First and foremost, security at AWS is job zero and is our top priority. That is why we listen closely to our customers to offer both secure cloud computing environment and an innovative security services that satisfies the security and compliance need for the most risk-sensitive organizations. Today, AWS protects millions of active customers around the world. Our customers represents diverse industries with a wide range of use cases. This includes large enterprises, startups, educational institutions, and government organizations. The scale and global reach of these customers gives us broad visibility and deep perspective on cloud security. We rapidly reinvest this knowledge that we gained back into our leading edge infrastructure services that would benefit all the customers. Let's talk a little bit about the shared responsibility model. This is one of the critical things the customer have to consider before they move to the platform and also when they are in the platform. AWS is responsible for protecting the infrastructure that runs all of the services offered in AWS Cloud. This infrastructure is composed of hardware, software, networking, and the facilities that run AWS Cloud services. On the other hand, the customer's responsibility will be determined by the AWS services that they utilize to run their business. For example, services such as Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, and Amazon S3 are categorized as infrastructure as a service. These services typically require the customer to perform all of the necessary security configurations and the management tasks. If a customer deploys an Amazon EC2 instance, number one, they are responsible for the management of the guest operating systems and any application software or utilities installed by the customer on the instance. And let's not forget the security groups on the EC2 instance as well. So they are responsible for taking care of all of the items that falls under their table. Moving fast and staying secure is one of the dreams. Traditionally, organizations have been forced into a binary trade-off. Either they move quickly or they stay secure. This is primarily because the InfoSec is often forced into slow certain things down to human speed with some manual security processes so they can ensure the security of the organizations. However, today it is possible to automate many of the basic security tasks like patching, and with the right tooling, you can gain the visibility needed to identify and monitor critical assets and data. By providing highly integrated logging and monitoring solutions such as Splunk, as well as integrated tools to automate core security functions, organizations can use AWS to innovate quickly and maintain their security posture at the same time. Let's think about why security is traditionally so hard. So this is a combination of a lack of visibility coupled with a low degree of automation, an organization's ability to move quickly and also effectively to secure their infrastructure. Speaking of lack of visibility, in an on-premise environment, it can be difficult to know what resources and data are out there, where it is moving, and who is accessing it at any given time. For example, it requires expensive and complex tooling to get an accurate real-time asset inventory. Most organizations just don't have the level of visibility that they would like in an on-premise environment. And without this visibility, it is really challenging for organizations to secure their infrastructure and their data. Now, speaking of low degree of automation, the typical challenge is trying to get rid of the manual processes employed to remediate issues. We have seen use cases where it is common to copy and paste information from one tool to another and or performing manual patching and so on. It has been very difficult to automate key security tasks due to issues like the interoperability of the third-party and homegrown tools. So one of the primary goals or the advantages of automation is to programmatically handle many of the manual tasks, and that drives automation. The scalability and the scale of large enterprises is one of the critical things. With AWS, you control where your data is stored, who can access it, and what resources your organization is consuming at any given moment. With fine-grained access controls combined with continuous monitoring for real-time security information, you can ensure that the right resources have the right access at all times. You can reduce risk as you scale by using our security automation and activity monitoring services like config rules, CloudTrail to detect suspicious security events and monitor the configuration changes across your ecosystem. You can even integrate our services with existing solutions to support existing workflows, and you can streamline your operations and simplify compliance reporting. Automating with integrated services. This is very relevant to this topic because we are integrating with Splunk here. The benefit of automating security tasks on AWS is to enable you to be more secure by reducing human configuration errors, and also it gives your team more time to focus on work that is critical to your business. In AWS, you can select from a wide variety of deeply integrated solutions that can be combined to automate tasks in an innovative way. For example, by employing technologies like machine learning, AWS enables you to automatically and continuously discover, you can classify, you can protect sensitive data in AWS with just few clicks in the AWS console. You can also automate infrastructure and application security checks to continuously enforce your security and compliance controls and help ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability at all times. The CIA triage is maintained. Overall, automation helps reduce the amount of noise and the manual work your security engineers have to pay attention to, so they can just focus their expertise where it really matters to your business. So you can elevate your security in AWS Cloud. The reason why I'm saying is because security at AWS starts with our core infrastructure, which is custom built for the cloud and designed to meet most stringent security requirements in the world. Our infrastructure is monitored 24/7 to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability of our customers' data. The same world-class security experts who monitor this infrastructure also build and maintain our broad selection of innovative security services, which can help you simplify meeting your own security and regulatory requirements. As an AWS customer, regardless of your size or investment, you inherit all the benefits of our experience, tested against the strict test of the third-party assurance framework. On top of that, AWS also has the largest network of security partners and solutions. You can extend the benefits of AWS by using security technology and consulting services from solution providers you already know and trust, and Splunk is one of the examples here. AWS is vigilant about your privacy. With AWS, you can build on the most secure global infrastructure, knowing you always own your data, including the ability to encrypt it, move it, and manage retention. Protecting the data is critical when it comes to privacy, and we provide tools that allow you to easily encrypt your data in transit and at rest as well. We can help ensure that you authorized users can only access your data. For example, you can manage keys by using AWS key management systems, or manage your own encryption key with Cloud HSM using FIPS 140-2 level 3 validated HSMs. We also give you control and visibility you need to help demonstrate that you comply with regional and local data privacy laws and regulations. For example, taking KMS, we have 52 services at this point that KMS has integrated with. That is 4 times larger than the next cloud provider and 3 times larger than the next 3 providers combined. AWS supports more security standards and compliance certifications than any other offering. This includes PCI DSS, HIPAA, HITECH, FedRAMP, Sec Rules 17-A-4, EU Data Protection Directive, And FISMA, we are helping you satisfy compliance requirements for virtually every regulatory agency around the globe. AWS stands out in terms of security capabilities. AWS now has 203 significant compliance governance, security, and certification. That is about 40 more than the next largest provider. By moving to AWS, you inherit the latest security controls operated by us. We typically align AWS security services to the 5 security epics of the security perspective of cloud adoption framework. This is a white paper that's publicly available. You should be able to Google it, security perspective at CAF, and you can download the white paper and read through the 5 security epics, which is identity access management, detective controls, infrastructure protection, data protection, and incident response. Especially to this topic, we are focusing on end-to-end visibility, which falls under the detective controls epic. Here you can integrate with AWS services such as AWS Config, AWS CloudTrail, CloudWatch, VPC Flowlog, and all these services related in that category. And now this is the time I would like to have the Splunk team discuss the benefits of Splunk and how it can be used to achieve end-to-end visibility.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Subbu. Hi, everyone. My name is Patrice Regalado. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at Splunk in the Security Markets Group. Also joining me is my colleague, Bill Bartlett. He's a sales engineer on the Global Strategic Alliances team here at Splunk. Bill and I are super excited to share with you today how our partnership with AWS can help you address modern security challenges to help you drive better and faster security decisions. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So one of the first questions we always get asked is, what does Splunk mean? Where does the name come from? So our founders were practitioners, people who worked in the trenches like many of you. And while they worked in large organizations and had the best tools at their disposal, one constant always ran true. The tools that they had to manage, to secure, and audit IT were divided into silos. So they felt like each silo reflected a dark cave, and their job was to explore the caves in a very manual and tedious way. Essentially, the traditional stack of technologies were limiting their success and making their jobs really, really hard. And that's why they created Splunk. So at Splunk, we have an overarching mission, not just to help you surface the data in your organization, but most importantly, to turn it into security relevant outcomes. Those are simple words, but they're actually incredibly hard to make real as cyber threats continue to evolve and the security challenges that we face continues to scale. So the question facing all of us today is, how do we navigate this constantly evolving landscape of technologies to turn data into truly meaningful business outcomes? So Splunk helps organizations ask questions, get answers, take actions, and achieve business outcomes from their data. Organizations use Splunk solutions with machine learning to monitor, to investigate, and act on all forms of IT, security, IoT, and business data. The Splunk platform itself facilitates investigation with access to an expanding universe of addressable data. So you can tap into data from all systems and at all states, at rest or streaming and in real time. Splunk doesn't structure that data until you need to ask a question. So this flexibility enables you to dig deeper. One question typically leads to the next, and these questions can come from different people and different teams, whether it's IT, security, business users, all driving tangible business outcomes using the same data. And Splunk delivers intelligent insights powered by AI and machine learning and turns these insights into actions. Now, we all know that rich insights aren't enough. You need to turn these into actions by providing stakeholders with clear visibility to critical IT and security incidents and the steps that were taken to resolve them. So Splunk offers a suite of solutions for different users and use cases across your organizations: IT, security, IoT, business analysts, and developers. All these products and services are supported by our core Splunk platform that was built for change. And with Splunk, the same data that you need for security is often the same data that you need for IT and other operational centers. So you can use the same data across your broader organization, thus saving you money and time while optimizing your business as you leverage our real-time data platform. So now let's bring the focus to security. The Splunk Security Operations Suite features everything that a SOC needs to optimize your entire security workflow. Splunk Security Operations Suite brings together advanced security analytics, machine learning, as well as automation, orchestration, and response technologies, with the goal of helping to supercharge our customer security operations. It all starts with the data sources that you have Splunk ingest. On top of that, we have our security-specific applications. That's Splunk Enterprise Security and Splunk User Behavior Analytics, which integrate to deliver a full security information and event management, or SIEM technology, including security analytics and machine learning to detect and investigate advanced threats. We also have Splunk Phantom for security orchestration, automation, and response, or SOAR for short. Phantom integrates with our solutions and products in our customers' security stacks and creates response playbooks that automatically sets a response in motion to detect incidents. So Splunk has over 7,000 security and compliance customers worldwide across all sizes and verticals. We've highlighted 3 amazing joint Splunk and AWS customers here: FINRA, REI, and Experian. In a few minutes, you'll hear more from Experian directly from Jerome and Jake on the Experian team. But let me quickly highlight FINRA and REI's use cases. So FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, they process and analyze massive amounts of data. And one challenge that they had is to protect the data against new and unexpected threats. So FINRA's SIEM solution, despite the high cost, it was providing limited functionality. And migrating to Splunk and AWS has provided FINRA with the ability to ingest from over 170 different applications and run ad hoc queries. So FINRA now has transparency into every aspect of their computing environment. You see here REI, the outdoor retailer. They wanted to extend their security posture to include edge protection of its Amazon VPCs as it migrated applications to AWS. So REI deployed Splunk Cloud and Amazon GuardDuty to manage threat detection service across its hybrid environment. And they were able to gain end-to-end security visibility during their AWS Cloud migration and also gain real-time insight into potential threats. And for those of you who have been in the security space for some time, the one persistent issue we experience is the pervasive risk of data breaches. And minimizing that risk applies no matter who you are and what industry you're in or what technology you're using. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with all the scary data breach headlines, but I do want to point out that there are hard financial costs of a data breach, and they are in fact very real. And you'll see here the component costs associated with the individual stages of handling a data breach, whether that's from the detection and escalation through the notification and the response itself, as well as the estimated amount of lost business as a result of the breach. So these are global averages that you see here. In the US, the costs are typically higher since we are a more litigious jurisdiction, therefore making the costs add up even more quickly. So for those of you with direct responsibilities in InfoSec, in IT security, or compliance and privacy, this is a critical area to ensure that you're addressing. And as more of your critical workloads move to AWS, one of the most important aspects during this technology migration is maintaining that visibility and security posture throughout the entire process to minimize the risk of data breaches occurring. So Splunk's holistic approach to data is the key to that visibility. And thanks to our partnership with AWS, we're able to provide a pragmatically viable way to maintain that visibility for security and IT ops use cases alike. And this helps to scale the migration process despite the complexity of monitoring, say, a hybrid infrastructure. And doing this within a consolidated singular solution can keep typically disparate manual tasks streamlined and efficient, allowing you to gain critical security, operational, and cost management insights across your entire AWS environment. So how do we do all of that? Now I'm going to turn it over to Bill to walk you through some of these use cases. Bill?
Thanks, Patrice. So while our primary focus here is AWS and Splunk integration, I wanted to quickly touch again on Splunk's ability to collect data from your broader infrastructure. Splunk integrates with all of your existing on-premise business applications as well, so giving you a holistic view of all of your data, regardless of where it resides. And this may be particularly important, actually, for customers who are either in progress or planning a migration from on-premise to AWS. So how do we do that? How does Splunk take all of these sources and make them accessible? Well, first, there's a myriad of options to bring your data into the Splunk platform. And because of our indexing technology, which you may sometimes hear referred to as schema on the fly, you won't need to deploy a database or worry about configuring predefined schemas before you index your data. Simply bring all of your data in and start searching and analyzing in less time with less effort. Okay, so here's a diagram showing just a sample of the AWS services and the various ways Splunk can ingest the respective service data. Let's take AWS CloudTrail as an example. We'll see that a little bit of an issue with the webinar, I'm sorry. AWS CloudTrail is here on the top. If you can then send the CloudTrail data down here to CloudWatch logs. From there, we can process it via Lambda and then send it directly into Splunk's HTTP event collector. Again, another option would be taking CloudTrail data, sending it over to CloudWatch logs, and then from there, right within the AWS Kinesis Firehose console, you can set up your Splunk endpoint and then send all of the Kinesis Firehose data right into Splunk HTTP event collector. And lastly, to emphasize the exhaustive compatibility and flexibility of Splunk and AWS, an entirely different path then could be sending AWS CloudTrail data over here to S3. And then from there, we can grab the data from S3 bucket right into AWS. So in summary, as your platform for machine data, Splunk can collect all kinds of data into one place, and then you can search it, you can analyze it, alert on it, report on it, and solve a wide range of use cases. All right, the fun stuff. So now that we have all of this data, let's dig into it. Using AWS service data, Splunk can tell you things like who added that new rule to the security group, or how much traffic is being blocked into my VPC, and where is it originating? Who added a new SSH key pair, and where do they do it from? So continuing from that last example, are we seeing activity from unusual IP addresses or countries, actually? How about a sudden rise in the number of security groups or the number of ACL modifications? A sudden spike in unauthorized API requests? All of these examples and countless others are available via Splunk's powerful search language. And then presenting them in these sorts of dashboards that I'm showing is a breeze. In closing, my final slide is a quick highlight of Splunk's presence in the AWS serverless repository. Way back in 2015, Splunk was a launch partner when AWS first launched Lambda Blueprints. And then again in 2017, Splunk again became a launch partner with AWS's serverless repository. And I'm only quickly mentioning these things to reiterate the deep partnership that AWS and Splunk have engaged in now for many years. Today, we have 7 serverless applications that make easy work of getting data out of AWS and into Splunk. So if you're interested, visit the GitHub link shown. If you're of the engineer spirit, there's a bunch of great code there to help you write your own. And if you're like me, though, and you just want something that works directly out of the box, we're already in the serverless repo for easy point-and-click operation. So that wraps it up for me. I appreciate your time. I'd like to welcome Jerome and Jake from Experian to tell us about their Splunk and AWS journey.
Thank you very much, Patrice and Bill. Hi, everyone. My name is Jerome Chady. I am the DevOps lead engineer for Experian's Advanced Technology Group. I'm also joined with my colleague, Jake Payne, from the Platform Engineering SRE team. Today, we are going to talk to you on how Experian enhanced our security with Splunk and AWS. Who are we? What do we do? We are a global leader in providing information, analytical, and marketing services to organizations and consumers. Our major goal is to help manage the risk and reward of commercial and financial decisions. We are committed to helping consumers live credit smart. We have over 16,000 employees with approximately 7,000 in North America. Within Experian, we heavily value diversity, which leads to a more effective workplace. This enables us to do a better job for our customers. We are also heavily invested in technology and security to ensure that we continue to stay ahead of the market, as well as meeting our customer demands in the most secure way possible. Experian is also very big on innovation. Myself, being part of the Advanced Technology Group, we focus on innovation to bring new products and services to market. This allows us to win and grow quickly. The Ascend platform, a team I was honored to share and be a part of the success, this is a great example of a diverse team using the latest and greatest technology to produce a product used by over 15 of our world's top financial institutions that became the fastest growing product in the history of Experian. Ascend also provides a dedicated analytical sandbox for customers to run their model against 17 plus years of full file Experian credit data. Also provides an account review solution for using the latest products in big data to reduce portfolio risk to maximize client revenue. We also provide an Ascend marketing solution. This provides the fastest way to build, test, and optimize custom channel targeting strategies, allowing you to access and integrate your data securely, apply the latest tools for your custom attributes, and deploy in near real time using the freshest data available. Experian, we are also proud to recently launch Experian Boost, hashtag Boost America, which is another good example of a diverse and innovation in our organization. This product was designed to help Americans take control of their financial lives by giving credit for bills you already pay on time, for the ones that didn't traditionally affect your credit score previously. So in every organization, we have challenges. So with our product, with the launch of our Ascend platform, the demand for product was high. Getting customers to our platform could potentially take days. We knew that getting customers onboarded quickly and consistently to the platform would be very difficult. This is where we leverage the true potential of AWS infrastructure deployment. With this growth, it became very difficult for us to roll out new features to our customers. As well as the account structure change, it became complex as we moved into managing multiple accounts, which also included environment segregation, introducing multiple test and validation stages. Well, with good DevOps practices, we knew at this moment we needed a solution to centrally deploy and baseline these accounts with proper login and monitoring in place. Here we also adopted the use of dedicated customer environments, as well as properly tagging and to produce proper billing systems. Inconsistent reporting, as each dedicated account or customer environment had its own one-off login solution. We did at this point enable CloudWatch and CloudTrail on each member account, but relied heavily to accessing each account individually to view these logs. This is something we also realized very quickly that could not be sustained, as we were in need of a central login solution. We were slow to react to issues. With these logs being stored in each individual AWS account, there were little CloudWatch alerts and metrics applied to report to us when there were issues with customer environments, in case we had to manually debug and address customer needs or requirements. We had very little security reporting in place at the time. We knew that we needed a tool to quickly identify potential security flaws in our environment. In addition to writing custom Lambda functions to monitor and alert on our encryption policies, S3 buckets, and networking. So we have all faced challenges when a new product is launched to market. With any challenge, we need to identify the issues and find the right solution to adapt quickly. We know that we had a login using CloudWatch, but it was at the account level. We didn't have a central way for viewing these logs. The same goes for CloudTrail and any AWS services for that matter. The logs existed individually and had very little security monitoring for them. We needed a way to combine them. On the application side, we saw a spike in job failures, but could not properly identify the reasons, as well as the ability to properly segregate these jobs being executed by each client. So how can we remediate these issues when it was so difficult to consistently identify the source? Well, So I'll tell you a little bit of why we decided to go with AWS and Splunk um, to use this as a solution for our platform. So when Experian first started its journey to cloud, it started it as an efficiency project. We wanted to reduce the cost of ownership of our existing batch processing environment. But along the way, we also realized that there was a massive market opportunity by providing clients with the ability to build models against hundreds of terabytes of full file credit data using various big data tools. We help them deploy new solutions to market faster. With this product, we also utilize like the use of open source tools, but this became a potential solution, but maintenance and scaling became a huge challenge for us. So Splunk proved to be very reliable in this aspect, having a great support team and the ability to scale with ease for massive amounts of security data. So Experian implementing Splunk and AWS, we wanted to gain a complete detailed view of our environments. We wanted a central way to view security activity in all of our AWS accounts. With the use of multiple AWS accounts, we needed all the logs delivered in near real time for alerting and remediating issues as quickly as possible, eliminating single points of failure for log delivery and processing. Every organization has its compliance rules. When we build any product to market, we always ensure that these rules are met. But Splunk allowed us to set these rules seamlessly, including our data retention policy. Using AWS and Splunk, we were able to implement a secure end-to-end login solution quickly as required in a consistent manner. This allows us to deploy new features across customer environments, therefore reducing customer onboarding time. With the use of Splunk and collaborating with AWS professional services, the Ascend team met these business and operational challenges. We implemented a robust login solution using centralized DevOps and security accounts, which I'll get to in a moment, and ensuring consistent deployments to all our member accounts with the ability to scale as the main driver. Prior to any accounts being used by the team and clients, we were able to capture and report on all API activity, CloudWatch logs, VPC flow logs, directly into Splunk. This is a one-time solution that ensures that we don't have to update Splunk configuration every time a new account is added. With this, we became the forefront of Experian Security First initiative and served as ambassadors for creating a Splunk standard across all our business units. We were able to help others quickly and easily access their compliance and security postures. So in the Ascend team, we use an array of AWS services, important for us to be successful and competitive in the market. Some AWS tools that we heavily use for our business needs are like S3, EC2, we use EMR, we heavily use Redshift, Athena, and Glue, all restricted within our secure VPC. They all played a part in us scaling and properly meeting our customer demands. With the use of SNS, SQS, and Kinesis, we were able to send all these applications and API logs to Splunk in near real time and apply Splunk's enterprise security layer to this. We were able to quickly visualize our account activity with the use of Splunk app for AWS and Amazon Web. And the value of the peace of mind of knowing that we have security alerts and automatic remediation functions in place to resolve any possible changes made to our environment that sits outside of our security best practices. So in this diagram, it shows how the Ascend team ingests these logs into Splunk from multiple services within AWS. On the top container, you see this DevOps account. To the left, you have all our member account types. And to the right, you have our security account that leverages and that sends all this information into Splunk. This architecture was built to accommodate the exponential growth our team was experiencing. So as I mentioned earlier, one of our challenges was that each individual member account has its own login solution. So as you can see on the left box, we need all member accounts, regardless of their Ascend solution, to provide and have a consistent login solution with all the security logs ingested into Splunk. To begin this process, we need a method of deploying this in a consistent way. The DevOps account was created exactly for this purpose. Using the segregation of AWS roles, we were able to deploy to any account that was properly onboarded to DevOps. We also knew that we needed an account to control security, as we wanted to ensure that all security infrastructure, as well as all security related logs and functions, are centralized, yet segregated from all the other accounts. With DevOps, we use CloudFormation to seamlessly deploy this solution by creating login S3 buckets, Kinesis streams, SQS, and SNS for these member accounts to subscribe in a centralized way. We worked with the Splunk administrative team within Experian to perform this one-time configuration for these accounts for ingesting all these different types of logs. So in the member accounts, all our common services like CloudWatch, CloudTrail, VPC flow logs are all configured to use this infrastructure and to be sent to Splunk, regardless of the account, regardless of what time we onboard it. These are all onboarded and automated in this way. Getting these centralized were done using the DevOps pipeline for deploying their respective CloudFormation stacks. And as you can see, our platform contains many types of accounts that leverages services like EC2, EMR, Redshift, and Cloudera, depending on our Sense solution. So how exactly did we capture all these logs? Well, for CloudWatch logs, we have VPC Flow. We use a central CloudWatch solution that subscribes to Amazon Kinesis streams. And these streams would then configure to use Splunk. So any data coming through these services goes through those streams into Splunk. For CloudTrail, this includes S3 access logs, custom application logs from Redshift and EMR, all funneled through SNS and SQS. This is also configured to use Splunk. In our shared analytical sandbox, built using Cloudera on EC2 instances, we capture all our audit, security, and security logs with funnels through CloudWatch. Additionally, we use Splunk Forwarder to send Cloudera specific logs. With these logs, our team could use this data to create alerts, metrics, dashboards in Splunk that gave us invaluable insights to our environment. Without further ado, I would hand it over to my colleague Jake to give you a little more visibility on how we use Splunk in our platform.
Thanks, Jerome. Hi, everyone. This is Jake Payne. I am a site reliability engineer with Experian, primarily focused on the monitoring side of things. So I'll be going over a bit of how we actually use the data we onboard from AWS to Splunk to ensure our platform's security, stability, and performance, and to provide a great experience to all of our customers. So our Splunk work focuses on things that can be grouped into two primary use cases. Obviously, we do a lot of operations monitoring, so alerting on issues and things of that nature, both performance related and security related. And secondly, most of the other bullets on this slide can be grouped into utilization reporting. How clients are actually using the platform, is anything over or underutilized, how can we allocate resources more efficiently, etc. And I'll be showing examples of each of these use cases. So after Jerome did the work to bring data from AWS into Splunk, the first thing that we needed to do was synthesize that with data from our big data cluster to get a single pane of visibility into the health of our entire platform. So using the Splunk add-on builder, we wrote a custom Splunk add-on that pulls data from Cloudera and Yarn APIs into Splunk, which gave us visibility into the health of the cluster, the job history, and queue and resource utilization. So after that, Splunk has a really flexible query language that we were then able to use to integrate that Cloudera data and AWS data into a single dashboard that shows the health of the cluster at a glance, whether there are any security thresholds breached, as well as high-level summaries by queue or client for performance, so that we can immediately tell if there's an issue or why a customer might be having performance issues. And multiple of these panels feed into alerts that go to email, Slack, ServiceNow, and our paging system. Once we had a view into the immediate health of the cluster, we had to make sure we were tracking the performance over time as well to make sure that it was stable, of course. So the product reporting dashboard that you see here shows long-term performance trends summarized over time, both for the cluster as a whole and by client. And we send this out weekly as a scheduled report to management and account executives. So this lets us do several things. Number one, it lets us know if performance of the sandbox is trending up or down over time, and it allows us to do long-term validations of the changes that we make to the platform. In addition, we can identify performance trends within individual clients that we might want to address before they become an issue. So once we had a handle on performance, we needed to get visibility into the data loads to the platform. So the power of Ascend comes from its access to a vast amount of consumer credit data. If that data is missing or outdated, we have an issue. Luckily, AWS makes this very easy to track via CloudTrail logs. So with CloudTrail, we can see exactly which files have already been uploaded and which files had an upload error. These again feed into multiple alerts so that our ops teams or automation scripts can instantly retry failed file uploads and make sure that all of our customers have the latest and greatest credit data available to them. So after we had performance, stability, and data loads under control, we started thinking ahead to the visibility that our customers would want from us. So customers want to know several things. They want to know which of their employees is using the platform and how much. They want to know what kind of performance they're getting, how fast their jobs are running, and what kind of success rates they're seeing. So from those requirements, we developed a user activity reporting dashboard. So we have lookup tables that can translate unfriendly yarn queue names and user IDs into actual clients and client names and full user names, friendly names for our users. So this means you can select an individual client from a drop-down menu at the top of this dashboard, and it will filter all of the data for that client, which gives us a view that we can then export directly to PDF and provide to the client, showing them exactly what value they're getting out of the Ascend platform. And additionally, we send this report out to account executives, which allows them to proactively identify users who might need some extra assistance for a particularly complex coding or modeling task. And as we look to the future, we've started to use EMR more and more. And we've already started providing dedicated sandboxes for clients built on EMR. And this helps us drive customer satisfaction by helping queries run faster than they might in a shared platform environment. So with data from CloudTrail logs, we can already see every single EMR cluster launched in any VPC, who launched it, if the cluster launch was successful, and once the cluster finishes running, how long it ran for. So that gives us a lot of information about which clients are utilizing their sandboxes effectively, when we might need to scale them up or down. And in the meantime, CloudWatch time series metrics give us visibility into the applications running inside those clusters, how those are performing, and we can then alert on multiple of these metrics as well. So I've talked a lot about what we built with the help of AWS and Splunk, but what were the actual results of that new level of deep visibility into our platform? So we observed a 36% decrease in our overall ticket resolution time, a 61% reduction in job duration, and a 62% decrease in critical support ticket volume. So in addition to that, we also noticed a more than 75% reduction in the time taken for security log onboarding. Since, as Jerome mentioned, all we have to do now is link our accounts to the central security account, and the logs will now flow automatically to Splunk via the Kinesis streams that Jerome showed earlier. So altogether, AWS and Splunk have really transformed the way that Experian uses and monitors our big data platform, both from a security and a monitoring and a reporting standpoint. So on that note, I would like to pass it back over to Sabu for the Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jake. Once again, I think I'll pause and make sure we have enough questions here. And now we have an opportunity to add your questions to the list. So we have a few questions here. I think I would like to have Splunk answer. The first question here, what is the best way to learn Splunk queries?
Yes, I can take that. So Splunk has a free fundamentals class online called Splunk Fundamentals 1, which I encourage many of you to take. And on top of that, from a security context, we have Splunk Security Essentials. And if you want to get a sense for, without knowing too deep, the syntax of our search processing language, you can see examples there of security use cases in action and see the example searches. Splunk Security Essentials is a really great place to start with that. So you can go to www.splunkbase.com and search for Splunk Security Essentials, and you'll see over 350 security use case examples there.
Awesome, thank you. So I have another question here. Is there an AWS account pattern for log aggregation and monitoring? I'll take that question. From an AWS perspective, account pattern is one of the critical things for enterprise. I think the account pattern might vary slightly from enterprise to enterprise, but some of the common patterns I noticed is we tend to create one logging account where we centralize all the log aggregation, and then from there we ingest logs to the specific log solution. In this case, it is Splunk, and typically there may be some organizations have managed two separate logging accounts in some cases where they want to isolate the security logs versus the operational logs. Yeah, so those are two common patterns I quite often see. I have one more question for Experian, and the question reads, what about config and guard duty logs, and are you ingesting those logs today, or what is the plan?
Yeah, I could take that one. Thank you, Subbu. Yeah, so we are currently not ingesting logs from GuardDuty, but it's in our roadmap. But if you were to use that, you would use CloudWatch events to send that into Splunk. But we are currently we do have config centralized currently. It was not shown in the architectural diagram earlier, but we do have that configured. This is all ingested into central S3 bucket, which is also configured through SNS and SQS to go to Splunk.
So thank you. Okay, so I have one more question here. How real-time is the data collection and the threat correlation in Splunk Enterprise Security and GuardDuty? I would assume Splunk can help me answer that.
Sure. Thanks, Sue. We can help with that. So the correlation depends on getting the data in from GuardDuty into Splunk Enterprise Security. And the term real time really depends on how your searches and data models and all your configurations happens. But with GuardDuty app, the app does bring in the CIM compliant data into enterprise security. So if you have your data models tuned properly in enterprise security, you should be able to get that correlation in no time.
Thank you. So let me just grab another question here. I think I have a question. Could you please give a quick explanation on the central security account and how that works? I slightly touched that question in the answer in the previous topic, but I'll just dive deep a little more here. I think one of the primary intent to have the central security account is to ensure that there is an isolated account where only the security team typically have access and not every other team. So the sanity of the logs are maintained. No one can delete the logs, and only the right tools can actually have read-only access to the logs. So for audit scenarios, you have some level of assurance that this security account is securely managed. Okay. I'm just looking for another question here. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I think I have one more question for Experian here. Why did you decide to use Kinesis Stream instead of Kinesis Firehose in your architecture?
Yes, I could take this one, Subu. So we use Kinesis Stream mainly because during at the time when we implemented this solution, it was the recommended solution by Splunk. So we decided to funnel through our logs through Kinesis Stream as opposed to Firehose. However, we did use Firehose, and Firehose is a potential solution, but we are currently using Firehose to send that same data into an additional S3 bucket for additional retention. So we kind of duplicate our data here, so we are using both services, but primarily for using Kinesis Stream is what was the solution at the time. So I'm thinking that we do have any roadmap if it's recommended by both AWS and Splunk. This is something we could easily change out because it's all automated. Thanks, Subu.
Thank you. I have one more question on the similar lines. Why are we using Kinesis Stream for VPC flow log? Can we send the VPC flow log to S3, and also can Splunk pull logs from S3 using AWS add-on? I think this is one of the older way of doing things. I think we started moving to the Kinesis Stream based approach when the Kinesis Stream add-on was available, and then now we are more often seeing the Firehose mechanism for ingesting logs as well. I just wanted to quickly ask Splunk and see, hey, what would Splunk recommend in this case for ingesting VPC flow log?
I can take that. Thanks, Subu. So you can do it either way. It really will depend, well, essentially on latency. So the S3 bucket will be a little slower. So if those flow logs, if you depend on real time, Firehose is going to be significantly better. But we can support it either way. It's really up to you how you deploy. But if you're asking for best practices, you hit it on the head, Subu. We would prefer using Firehose. It's just easier, it's faster, and you can configure it right from within the AWS console. It's pretty straightforward.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bill. So I have a question about, can you provide the link for the solution? Unfortunately, we don't have the link for this specific solution. However, we have some blogs that are relevant to this topic. And we also did a session last year in Splunk conference on the same topic. So you might be able to gather more specifics on this architecture and how we implemented it from our last year's conference. And there is a quick start guide that you can look up. It's called Deploy Splunk Enterprise on AWS Cloud. That's also publicly available. You can use that link for your deployments. And is a quick question for Splunk. Do you have any recommendations on how they can quickly implement this solution and integrate with Splunk?
Yeah, I can take that. You already took the answer though. Quick start, essentially. So the quick start has a deployment guide. So it will walk you through some different choices you have to make, what sorts of indexers, how big, which index, which instance types. So there's a white paper deployment guide. You pick the term, and there's also CloudFormation templates, so you can automate the deployment. So pick your index instance types, pick your search head instance types, click go, and 15, 20 minutes, you'll have an entire Splunk deployment ready to go and start indexing data.
So I have one more question for Splunk here. How does Splunk support migration to AWS? I think you kind of slightly touched that. I just want to dive deep on that.
Yeah, I can take that. Thanks, Subu. So with cloud migration, we do realize that it introduces additional complexities. So to successfully plan and execute requires a lot of comprehensive visibility before, during, and after the migration. And as we mentioned earlier, Splunk has a full portfolio to gain visibility into security, IT monitoring, and troubleshooting. So providing that real-time visibility to all the stakeholders during migration can help you optimize your decision-making. And Splunk can help your teams with timely insights into the security, the compliance, cost management, any shared services, offerings, your networking, basically the overall business and more. So our solutions complement AWS services and gives you the full visibility throughout the migration journey. And we make it simple to correlate and analyze that data to help you uncover and share insights across your org and to ensure that you have the most efficient and successful migration.
Thank you so much for answering that. I have one more question specific to AWS here. What would be the best way to understand customer responsibility when consuming different AWS services? I think this is one of the critical topics I think customers struggle to understand when they onboard a new service. When they start using a service, they're not quite sure what are their specific responsibilities, including what type of logs they need to enable and push it to Splunk per se. So I've noticed when I work with customer, we have like a technical onboarding or technical governance onboarding process. Each customer may have something slightly different or in that lines. So when they say that I want to start using EC2 today, so we dive deep on the EC2 stack and see what are the different things that we need to do as a customer to ensure the responsibilities are maintained. And we take the security best practices that comes out of the recommendations come from AWS itself, and also try to look at industry best practices and follow some of the compliance recommendations, for example, for PCI, HIPAA, and so on. And same applies to S3, or if you want to start using containers and all of it. So yeah, you have to start looking at each service differently based on the purpose and what flexibility it allows you to do. Okay. Will this webinar be shared? I believe it is yes. Natty, then how can typically they can, or Kate, how can they access this webinar once this is done? Okay. Okay, I think we will share the links to the webinar. There may be an automated message. If not, we'll make sure that you get the links for the webinar once it is done. So I have a question here. I want to see who can answer this. How about pulling information from application security tools such as Veracode, Black Duck, Checkmark, and to have Splunk report on the status? So I think would Splunk be able to have answer to this, and then I can add to it?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
So how about pulling information from application security tools such as Veracode, Black Duck, Checkmarks, and some third-party tools?
Okay, so I'm not familiar with those particular tools. We could check Splunk base to see if there's already a TA. TA is the term we use for add-on. Okay. So in Splunk's world, there's a TA, which is how we collect the data, or an add-on, and then there's an app, which is how to display the data. So we can check to see if there's tools for that. If there aren't, then we'll have to, or the customer in question would have to then create some sort of application to pull that data into Splunk. And then once it's in Splunk, then we can do all of the stuff that we showed earlier, create dashboards and searches and alerts, and then correlate that with all of your other data where it's relevant. But I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with those tools out of the box.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for answering that. I think one of the things is if some of the agents are within the EC2, typically if you have the ability to move to an S3 bucket, from then we might be able to pull the logs and push it to the Splunk monitoring tool or relevant monitoring tools. So we might be able to help you. I have some of my information out there, so you can reach out to me if you need more help. Okay. Okay, we are 1 more minute left. I think I have, I'll take one more question. Okay. Looks like we answered most of it. I think Do we still need to use SNS and SQS to ingest the S3 logs? I think we can answer that. I think if you want, you could potentially move to a Kinesis-based approach. In this case, I think you don't have to continue using SNS to SQS. Yeah, that's Kinesis might be the recommended approach moving forward. Awesome. Once again, thank you so much for joining this session. I think it was a pleasure speaking at this session. And then thanks, Jerome, Jake, and the Splunk team for joining and sharing your experience and knowledge here.